今天28号啊，这里有几千人回去，这里都上千人了。他把那个路灯给关了，拍不到。这里有上千人，上千人回湖北。哦，这里好多人了，密密麻麻都是人，1000多人都有，1000多人了，密密麻麻。
大哥太多了。
哎，我这儿了。
大你。
我他妈认识就是玩。这不是也点着了？我弄你就是玩，我弄你就是玩，我弄你就是玩。
那么3月份全国城镇的调查失业率是5.9%，比2月份还降低了0.3个百分点。25到59岁的就业主体人群调查失业率是5.4%，比上月呢是回落了0.2%。所以尽管疫情冲击这么严重，全国没有发生这个大规模裁员的情况，就业形势主体是好。
十字架拆下来了，十字架没有了。
一个疫情，我们要能够这样走下来的话，不单是是一个很好的一个经验，帮助就是能够使得其他国家也可以借鉴。
我今天是来送我朋友的小孩在洛杉矶这边读大学，他坐的厦门航空公司回中国，他一个人要买3张机票才能够让回去，他一个人花费用是26万人民币，贵的疯了。26万人民币1张机票，这个3张机票，但是必须要买3张，你不买3张他不卖给你。
4月28号，徐诺告诉新唐人，他的整个家庭都是被中共政权洗脑后爱中国恨美国，全家都成为了亲共人士。他年初到美国旅游，因为疫情而滞留在美国。在美国期间，正值国内疫情爆发，他成为了买美国口罩寄回中国的小粉红之一。但是他因为寄口罩并携带了2本圣经的书籍，他的父亲被警察训诫。
他们把我父亲叫到那个派出所去问话的时候，我父亲回来，他跟我说你寄的是什么东西？派出所说你是什么境外反华宗教势力，就我父亲还把我训了一顿，那我就很莫名其妙。
徐诺说，他全家都是无神论者，他在美国接触了宗教，觉得挺好，想让家人也看看，却被扣上这样的大帽子。他认为这是栽赃陷害，他全家都不能接受。
他们把我父亲审讯完之后呢，就让我父亲去隔离。隔离的地方环境，听我父亲讲就特别差，不允许拍照，手机还要没收，不能跟外界联系。隔离了14天，我就觉得这是不太人道的一个做法。你把一个老百姓莫名其妙的就给隔离起来。
徐诺认为，当局此举让父亲身心都受到极大的伤害，而且他们全家人也都不理解。
他们是这么跟我父亲说，如果我打算什么时候回去，让我父亲一定要跟派出所他们去报备。我在国外的一切行踪，我父亲都要及时的跟他们去报告。然后的话呢，他说我回去的时候一定要会被隔离。其次的话呢，还要拘留我。他们的意思就是说，可能还要让我坐牢。
又烧坡了，好像烧了蛮久了。
在7:06分，今天拍得更长哦，拍到后面去了。
4月29号的长白山啊，
大学已经连续下了10天了，这是这么多年长山历史4月份第一次下这么大的雪。看到没，在最深的地方已经达到了2米多深，这个地方就是门口啊。大雪刚才已经封门了。
男人呀，你这么为了这样，你都不要了。
看完医院啊，看看，我们就是觉得营养不良，迟迟不能出院。所有的人饭都扔出来了。
Many healthcare workers in Russia are doing their utmost to cope with the coronavirus epidemic, but they are reaching their limits. More and more medical workers are now testing positive themselves. Russia has been on a strict lockdown since late March. Now Russians are being asked to stay home until at least May 11th.
Beijing took another swipe at Canberra. Some wrong words and deeds by Australia recently that have aroused dissatisfaction among the Chinese people. The wrong words were daring to call for an international inquiry into a virus that's crippled the world.
It is said out of common sense, and I think in Australia's national interest and in the global interest.
As the Prime Minister was holding the line in Canberra, in Melbourne the Health Minister was joined by the Chinese Consul General, who turned up with billionaire Andrew Twiggy Forrest to deliver 10 million testing kits and Beijing's talking points. Australia hopes that will be for the world to judge.
One by one, European governments have been revealing how they plan to ease their lockdowns to help relieve the strain on their economies whilst avoiding a second wave of contagion. Protect, test and isolate is the key to the French exit plan. Spain, the country with the most cases of COVID-19 in Europe, is also planning to remove most restrictions on daily life over the next 8 weeks. Meanwhile, Portugal plans to lift its state of emergency on Sunday. Although most restrictions on Greeks' free movements will be gradually lifted on May the 4th, Germany opened non-essential shops just over a week ago, but it's too soon to say whether easing the restrictions is to blame for the reported uptick in the infection rate.
The plane-making giant Airbus has posted a first-quarter loss of $500 million. The CEO is warning this is the gravest crisis the industry has ever known. Its rival Boeing already announced plans to cut as many as 7,000 jobs. The company's chief executive predicts global revenues could drop by over $300 billion this year in the industry, and it would take years to recover.
Gilead Sciences reporting positive news from a study about its treatment of remdesivir. This treatment is a treatment for COVID-19, and that has boosted the market huge.
We continue to monitor with growing concern Beijing's increasing efforts to interfere with Hong Kong's governance. The erosion of Hong Kong's freedom is inconsistent with the promises that the Chinese Communist Party itself made under one country, two systems. Any effort to impose draconian national security legislation on Hong Kong would be inconsistent with Beijing's promises and would impact American interests there. Chinese Communist Party tells us they want to be our partner. They want to be transparent. We need partners we can rely on. That when they tell us something, it is accurate and we don't think they're hiding anything. Look, we still haven't gained access. The world hasn't gained access to the WIV, the Virology Institute there. We don't know precisely where this virus originated from. There are multiple labs that are continuing to conduct work, we think, continue on contagious pathogens inside of China today. And we don't know if they are operating at a level of security to prevent this from happening again. Remember, this isn't the first time.
In the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, using his first public appearance as recovering from COVID-19, to warn against lifting lockdown restrictions too soon. Benjamin Hall has that story live from London for us this morning. Hey, Benjamin.
Yeah, hi, Sandra. And Boris Johnson made a typically optimistic, descriptive speech today, making it clear he was back in the helm. He was heading up the coronavirus task force. But he did also say that now was not the time to start lifting the lockdown, not until the situation improved. Take a listen.
We are now beginning to turn the tide. If this virus were a physical assailant, an unexpected and invisible mugger, which I can tell you from personal experience it is, then this is the moment when we have begun together to wrestle it to the floor.
Other countries in Europe, however, are starting to relax restrictions. Spain is now allowing children under the age of 14 to go outside for an hour a day. That is after 6 long weeks of total lockdown. There have been over 23,000 deaths in Spain, a country with a population of 46 million. And despite, however, the rising numbers, factories, construction workers and shops are restarting and getting back to work. In Russia, cases also on the rise. They have now surpassed China with a total of 87,000 positive tests from a population of 150 million. But many question the veracity of their numbers, and now we are seeing them declare a large increase in those numbers. Meanwhile, in Wuhan, China, the last 12 coronavirus patients have left hospital, and now China's fighting back against growing calls for an investigation into its role in the pandemic. They continue to deny suppressing information early on, thereby allowing the virus to spread further and wider than it might have. And in fact, in today's Chinese media, there is a big commentary saying that US Republicans are attacking China for their own political gain. And one thing that is sure, when this coronavirus issue has passed, that tension between the US and the China is only set to increase. Sandra?
Benjamin Hall reporting from London for us. Thank you.
Jack, you've got an observation of some breaking news down in Australia.
There's some news coming out of Australia, Sam, that one of the researchers from the Wuhan lab spent 3 years working in Australia at the Australians' equivalent of the NIH, studying bat viruses. And the idea was that they were trying to study the transmission of these things. And now the Intelligence Committee is going, what the heck is going on? Now, my question is, what kind of coordination is there between our scientific efforts at the NIH, both in other Five Eyes countries, ourselves, and our intelligence services? Because it seems like there's a breakdown if we're going back and finding out that these guys were in Australia for 3 years collecting viruses and all sorts of things. And the Australians warned against it a few years ago, and then no one did anything about it.
Right. Well, the coordination should be exactly what you envision, right? It should be tight, and it should be not just between our scientific organizations and our intelligence community, but obviously between our intelligence community and all of the intelligence services that the Australians have, keeping track of everything that is going on their turf. So there should not be such a thing as a Chinese effort where they're playing with this stuff, investigating it, acquiring information on it going on in Australia, and we don't have chapter and verse on it. I mean, Australia is hardly a denied area. That you ought to have complete and total visibility.
All this is going to come a shock to the Australian taxpayers, the American citizens. I think people are just going to be outraged the fact that this was allowed to go on in the sloppy nature of what was controlled. One last thing, Sam. If memory serves me correctly, wasn't there, I think, 20 to 24 operatives were rounded up?
你说战友们，你们有没有谁？你们发自内心的，你们想想，有意识到没有？这个爆料革命聚集的精英这股力量，我就过去这2、3周，我一个深刻的感受，共产党是真完了。你见过一个国家、一个民族、一个政府啊，能把他这个国家所有的人才、最聪明的人全给赶出去，而且弄得他家不能回，不敢回。只有这个共产党这个神经病，这个王八蛋啊！就这过去几周让我感受到，这什么样的愚蠢的一个党和国家，他能干出这种愚蠢的事儿出来？啊！绝对的精英，有智慧的人，有勇气的全给撵出来了。我们这就最近真的有大概70、80个，就是中美婚姻的啊，让我感受啊，冰火两重天。真的是有的人是真是聪明啊，智慧啊，而且这种国际婚姻的结合，你能发现东西方文化、中美文化集结到最佳状态的时候，真是人类上最高的境界啊，佩服。但是共产党就把这人都给撵出来了。